Hi there. My name's Nick and I'm a team leader within the CRS services here at Catch22. I'm hosting season 5 of the Catch22 Minutes podcast, Experts by Experience, where we'll be exploring the value of lived experience. I'll be speaking with Catch22 service users from across our services. To listen, search Catch22 Minutes wherever you get your podcasts. Hello.
Hiya.
Do you feel like this? It's quite a weird situation, isn't it? Us sat across from each other.
Yeah, a little bit weird, but I'm into trying new things.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's great. So I have a guest here today who is going to be talking about starting up a business. We're going to be talking about entrepreneurship and kind of running with ideas and making them happen based on our own experience, I guess. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Naeem, and my story is basically how I transitioned from going into prison by being on the wrong path, coming out of prison, wanting to be an entrepreneur, wanting to have my own business with no idea of what to do, now to starting and opening up my own business last year in December, to looking at getting into funding, coming up very soon, acquiring qualifications that are suitable for my business, and basically the USP around my business, which I'll be revealing to you guys later on in the podcast.
So mysterious. You're like, it's a drip feed. Lovely. Yeah. I mean, so happy to have you and
My
to
pleasure.
be having this conversation. It's really, really
My
exciting. So as you kind of said, it's this business idea that you had, it was based on your own experience, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's correct.
So do you want to talk to us a little bit about kind of what your life was looking like before you had this business? Where were you at when you had the first ideas for it?
So, like, ever since young, I've always wanted to start a business because I was working as a data analyst, level 3 BTEC apprenticeship. I'd done in 2015, 2016, it was 18 months. And what I found was it was occupying a lot of my time, and the salary I was getting, I was only left with a couple of hundred at the end of every month, disposable income. And then I looked at the people around me and I thought, do I really want to live the rest of my life like this? And then I said, if I don't, then I need to change something. So I wanted to do a business, but I had no idea. So then I just started to think about innovative things, and then I ended up having a few issues at home, and then I ended up falling into the wrong crowd. I was being very secretive with my parents, and then one day all hell let loose at home, and then I ended up getting sectioned in 2017. They diagnosed me with psychosis and schizophrenia. I was sectioned under Section 2 of Mental Health Act. In 2017, I was hospitalized for about 4 to 6 weeks. I like to think I was quite healthy before I went in. I was around 88 kilos, attended the gym regular, just a normal guy. And then, after that, I was on the medication. I started to put on weight, started to lose a lot of self-confidence. My self-esteem started to drop. I started, losing hope. And then what happened was the whole of 2018, I was taking the medication. And then 2019 came and I said, you know what? I'm going to stop having the medication and I'm going to just do things that I want to do myself. So I decided to leave home. And then what happened is I was in and out of my family home. And I was just moving around, living at different places. And then because I was off the medication in August 2019, I ended up relapsing. And this time it was worse. So I was hospitalized under Section 2 and Section 3. I was in the hospital for about 2 to 3 months this time. And then when I got released, I actually got my own accommodation. After getting my own accommodation, obviously I ended up looking at different ways of making money. I ended up falling in with the wrong crowd again. And then, things just started to spiral out of control until I ended up in prison in 2022, February. When I went into prison, I was about 113 kilos in weight. I was very overweight. Something that I didn't really look at or value at was important, doing exercise, because I was just having takeaways every day, loads of junk food, cheap food, which wasn't very good. I had massive. I'm lucky I don't have any serious health conditions from eating excess like processed food and stuff like that. Like when I was in prison, I was on remand for 10 months in one with scrubs. 4 months into my sentence, I didn't know what was going to happen. Like, I didn't have an end date of how long I'd be coming out in, how long my sentence was. In my head, I was thinking, okay, I might get a suspended sentence, or I might get released. I might get time served. I don't know what's going on. And then the barristers started to go on strike. So I said to myself, you know what? Like, I need to do something with my time. And then there's a lot of people who work out inside prison. And then some of the guys, they asked me, oh, why don't you start working out? And then slowly, I started just walking around the yard for the 1 hour that we get out. And then I slowly started to implement like 30 minutes of exercise into my daily routine. Then I started implementing it into my cell. I started doing burpees in the cell, started to gain a bit of confidence in myself. And then I moved to HMP ISIS end of 2022. And I was at ISIS for 6 months, and then I got released on tag. Whilst I was at ISIS, I managed to develop discipline of training at least like an hour, 2 hours a day. I mean, anybody you ask in ISIS, they'll tell you, like, on the enhanced wing, that I would always be training no matter how cold it is. I'll be the first one out. Even when the doors are locked, when it's raining, I'll just be training in my cell. And when I've come out, I've actually managed to fast track things. So when I came out, I was 102 kilos. When I went in February 2022, I was 113 kilos. So I lost about 11 kilos through that discipline. And then obviously it's very difficult to lose weight in prison because you don't have access to the right food. You don't get access to that much gym. You're not able to do as much. But when I came out, within 6 months, I lost about 15 kilos. And I felt like I needed to make my business around that, because the way I lost the weight was a bit extreme, but it's possible to do if you want to lose weight very fast. I wouldn't recommend it, but anything's possible. They say sky's the limit. My company's actually called Breaking Barriers. You guys can visit the website. That's Breaking Barriers Ltd.uk. You can follow the Instagram as well. The Instagram is the same. That's Breaking Barriers Ltd.uk. I've also got TikTok, all of that, YouTube. It's all on the Instagram page and the website, so you guys can just have a look at that, see my journey, shoot me a message if you're interested. I'm actually in the process of doing my PT qualification, level 2 and level 3. I'm 6 weeks in. There's another 4 weeks left. During that, I'll be completing like anatomy, physiology, nutritional plans, all of that sort of stuff. So if you guys need any advice, tips, anything, just send me a message on Instagram, and I'll be more than happy to help you guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was like a fast track lesson in your life.
Yeah, literally my life.
I saw you hyper focus. You were like, I'm getting it.
Yeah, I'm in the zone.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
I have questions.
Sure, go for it.
So just back to, let's take it back a little bit to when you were in prison the first time.
Yeah.
Is that Wormwood Scrubs?
Wormwood Scrubs, yeah.
Yeah. What kind of, just before that, you were talking about how difficult all the mental health challenges were, and being sectioned, and sounds like you were dealing with mental health in that way for the first time. Was it that kind of significant in your life for the first time?
Yeah, so after I went into prison, when I started exercising, I felt like I could slowly start to get a grip on my life again. I felt like I was in control of my thoughts and feelings, whereas before I'd let it overpower me, and I'll just, whenever I have my medication or whatever, if I feel sad or whatever, I just end up going into comfort food or going to sleep or just depriving myself of certain things, neglecting myself and losing that self-love of myself. Whereas when I started exercising, I started to gain a bit more self-love. And I feel like that's something that's very undervalued, self-love. And people who are going through mental health issues, what I've seen is they neglect their self-loving. And when you start to self-love yourself, that's when you'll be better yourself, and people around you will start to realize that as well. They'll respect you more. You'll respect yourself more. Everything will just become better for yourself. You just got to take the first step.
It just becomes a bit lighter, doesn't it? You're so right. That, I think often when we get really, really low, it's in tune or parallel to us not feeling good about ourselves, us feeling lack of worth, or we're not ever going to get out of the situation that we're in. Do you know what I mean? That self-love or that belief that you can be good or do good things. When you lose that, you're right. You can really spiral. Exactly,
yeah. I agree with that. And it's once you lose that, how will you find it back? Because nobody's going to know what you're going through unless you tell them. And we're very shy to tell people our feelings and making ourselves feel vulnerable, because we think that people will judge us. But really, the only people that should judge us is God, Allah, if you believe in Him. But and if you don't, then you should be the only body judging yourself. I mean, why should you think about what other people think? Because they're not the ones paying your bills. They're not going to be there to help you all the time. It's going to be you. So you should be the only one judging yourself. And if somebody has something to say about it, well, that's tough on them. And most of the people that put you down, they've got their own insecurities and they're insecure about themselves. So they need to take it out on you. That's something that I've realized.
It's such a good lesson. Do you remember learning that? Like, have you always had that lesson?
Yeah, some of it's through like life experiences, and I'd say some of it is through like reading books and listening to audiobooks of like Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins. I also like listening to a lot of motivational stuff through like Eric Thomas, Les Brown, and I just keep listening to the same stuff over and over and over again, because I feel like when I listen to it over and over again, I pick up things more deeper, and I can actually quote them. One of the quotes that I love is from, I think it's Les Brown. He goes, like, when you want something, it's like, I think it's either Les Brown or Eric Thomas, one of them, but I'll give the credit to both of them. It's like a tree. If you're trying to chop down a tree, most of us are doing the same thing for 5 to 10 years, but it's like you're trying to chop down this tree for 5 to 10 years. But if you keep chopping the tree down that's been there for 100 years, for 5 to 10 years, you won't take that down. But if you hit it in the same spot for 5 to 10 years in the exact same position, eventually that tree will come down. But we don't know that. Like, we quit too early. But if you keep at the same thing, just keep focused, keep doing the same thing day in, day out, eventually you'll see big changes. And you might not see them yourself, but the people around you will see it. And your extended family and your extended people, when they see you after like 3 months, 6 months, they'll see you and they'll see like a huge change, and you'll notice their reaction. And that's something that I've noticed myself. And when you get that, it's like an unseen, unimaginable, like, realm of energy that you tap into that is like crazy. Like, it'll give you so much extra confidence and so much more self-belief, and it just pushes you to go further. And it's just crazy.
I love that analogy so much. So you're, as in, if you chip away at the same task or the same thing that you want to like better about yourself, or you want to like get hold of again and again and again, it's the realization that you will actually get there eventually.
Yeah, you'll master it. You'll master your craft.
Yeah.
Because if you look at like people who are like footballers and stuff, what age did they start from? Like Ronaldo, Messi, they started from when they were kids, like 5, 6 years old, do like 20 years. And now they're like top of the world. You can do the same thing. The thing is, are you willing to make that sacrifice? That's what you got to ask yourself. And if you are, then you will achieve it. There's no doubt about it. You just got to have that belief in yourself, have the right people around you, and you can achieve anything. The sky's the limit.
Do you have like a memory of this kind of like shifting for you? Like, do you have a memory of like you maybe at an earlier stage of your life, and then you being this like, because you're so motivated as a person when you talk. Is that prison? Is that this journey of exercise, or was it something else that just changed it?
I feel like it's my whole journey in general, but I'll give a lot of credit to my father, because when I was growing up, he wasn't always around at home and stuff like that. Even till now, it's like I see him, but we have to arrange a time to speak and stuff. But he's always out working, and he's doing that because he's a man and he has to provide for the family. I mean, I've got 3 other brothers, so there's 4 brothers, no sisters. My mom's the only female in the house.
Whoa.
So it's like he would have to provide for us. So he was always at the house grafting, doing his work. He had his own business. And he's just always putting in work. And I saw that and I admired that. He'd come home from work, then he would go out and see customers in the evening, mainly dealing with restaurants and stuff like that. So seeing that is, it's natural for a child to look up to their parents and respect them and look at them as their role model, because they're the people closest to them. So me seeing that has installed that work ethic inside of me, which I just needed to tap into. And my dad would always be working, and I feel like the motivation and that is all in my bloodline. And I feel like I'm just tapping into it, because I feel like I'm not at my full potential yet. Even though I may seem like I've come far, I know there's a lot more things that I could do to be a lot better. Like, people have told me, I know it myself, but it's just about doing the extra bit. We're all lazy. Like, you might look at me and think, oh my God, I've gone so far, but it's only because day in, day out, I work on myself, and I'm always pushing my self-esteem higher. Like, one thing I would recommend to everybody is boost up your self-esteem. When you boost up your self-esteem, that will literally change your life. Every single day, just do something better. It's like the way I see it is like, if I'm at the gym, I'll say to myself, okay, I'm going to do 10 reps. But for this set, when I'm on the 9th one, I'll say, okay, 2 more. I'll give myself that self-esteem push of getting to 11. Now, once I've done the 11th one and I've dropped the weights, I'm like, yeah, I've done 11. Next time I'm going to do 12. And every single day, I just go the extra second, the extra mile. And slowly, you'll build up a beast inside of you. And that beast will become unlocked when you want it to. And you'll be able to control that beast. And you just turn into like the best version of yourself that you can imagine.
Yeah. And it is, I love listening to you talk about it because it is something that you have to build, right? Like us talking about this idea of like something inside of us that holds us down, but also motivates us and pushes us. Like, I don't know if you would agree or disagree, but like, I feel like that's like a craft that you have to work for your life, right?
Yeah.
Like very few of us are built with kind of that perfect sphere of self-esteem, you know, because the world like hurts you and like pushes you and squeezes you in all kinds of directions. And then your adult responsibility is to like rebuild yourself for you, right?
Yeah, I agree. Like, the thing is, if you get something fast, it will leave fast. But what I've built, it didn't happen overnight. Like, you can go and see my journey on my socials, and I've uploaded videos of when I started, how big I was. I mean, my Instagram page has got pictures of when I started till now, and I was uploading pictures every week. And I remember when I started, I was blurring out the face because I thought that I didn't know where I was going to go with this journey. And I was very insecure. But, you know, I ended up coming here. You know, I would like to say I got a nice physique at the moment. But yeah, nothing worth having comes easy. If it was easy, then everybody would have it. I mean, it's like having a six-pack. If it was easy, everybody would have a six-pack, but there's a lot of hard work that needs to go into it, and then you need to maintain it as well, because it's all easy. Somebody can show you how to get something, but if you're not able to maintain it, then what's the point in having it? And it's like money, like the distribution of wealth around the world. It's like that for a reason. Like, if everybody was to start on zero, the world will end up in the same place. If everybody was to be given $1 million, they'd end up in the same place, because we all have the same amount of time in the day. Like, okay, fair enough, we might not have access to the same resources, but we all have that decision of what we do when we wake up. Now, you can choose to sleep in bed for an extra hour, or you can choose to spend the hour working on yourself. The choice is yours, and that's all it takes. The first step is yourself, and you can change everything in your life. You can change the world if you really wanted to.
It's amazing. It really is amazing hearing you talk about it. And now you're smiling. Yeah. Do you, I guess, thinking about you kind of, this being a product of you being in prison as well, like all of this motivation being a product of that kind of routine and structure, have you found that since you've been out, when you're talking to people about your business, have you received anything like challenging about the fact that this has come from like an experience like prison?
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. Like, starting your business is not easy, but then again, working for somebody else isn't easy either. It's about which easy would you choose, or which hard would you choose. Like, I remember, like, I've never ever been tight with money, but then once I opened my business, I had to start tightening up with the pennies, because it really does count to the last penny. Like, I mean, you're looking at profit margins and you're making like 10, 20%, and then you're thinking, is it worth doing? I'm only going to make £5 or £10, and then you go out for a meal these days to a restaurant, and then you're spending like £30-40. It's like, damn, I have to sell 10 products to make this. It's like, for myself, since coming out of prison, I can count the amount of times I've been to restaurants, just because, like, number one, the food's expensive. Number two, the food is ultra processed. It's like not good for you at all.
You got some structure now.
So like, for myself, like, I like steaks, so what I'll do is I'll go to the butcher's, spend £10 on like a kilo of lamb or rump or whatever, like a beef cut, and I can make 4 steaks out of that. So me and my family can sit down and just get some chips from Tesco's or whatever, have that, get a bit of veg and a steak, and like just have it with water. I don't drink fizzy drinks, but they can if they want to. But for like a budget of like £15-20, like 4 or 5 of us can sit down and have a meal of steak and chips. Whereas if you go to a restaurant, you're spending like minimum 150 to 200. That money, like, trust me, the guys who are listening to this, who have their own businesses, will understand what I'm saying. And guys who don't and say, oh, I don't mind spending that, then once you open your business, you'll then realize and then come back to me and say, oh, you know what? Naeem was actually right.
It's all about those tiny little savings. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And like, imagine that money that you save, you can spend it on something else, like a gift for yourself, a gift for somebody else. You can go and buy a new pair of trainers with that. Spend it on something else or an experience, something that you're going to remember, rather than just spending it on food at a fancy restaurant. But I'm not saying don't stop it completely, but just like be mindful and like treat yourself like once a month. Make it something special, rather than just saying, okay, I'm going to go every couple of days or once a week. Make it like once a month so you look forward to it and you can actually enjoy it properly.
Yeah. Wicked.
Yeah.
Wicked. I mean, it's so much great advice. I
Yeah.
think people that are listening to this are going to be, wherever they're at, they're
Yeah.
going to be motivated to start. I'm motivated to start like a business now,
Yeah.
just from listening to you talk.
Thanks.
I have one more question for you, just kind of
Sure.
wrapping up our conversation. And that is, what advice would you give to someone who's at the start of this journey?
So this piece of advice would get you very far. Like, one thing that I've seen, and I always do it myself, is just start getting in shape. Literally, just you go to the gym, spend at least like 1 hour exercising. If you can't go to the gym, then just go to the park, go for a walk, try and do like 10,000 steps, 5,000 steps a day. If you've got a smartphone, there's free apps that you can monitor your steps on, and then slowly start running. And what will happen is you'll start to build up your self-esteem, you start to build up confidence in yourself, and people around you will notice that. Now, when you start to do these things and you start to get in shape, people will start to respect you more, and people will come to you with opportunities, and your mind will start to open up with more ideas. When people are speaking to you, you'll pick up on things because you're exercising your brain at the same time. See, when you're exercising, you're working your body, but your mind's at rest. When you're at home, your mind's at rest. Sorry, your body's at rest, but your mind's working. So you'll be able to process things a lot quicker than other people who don't exercise. And you being sharp like that, you just start to read interesting books. One of the books that I like is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Think and Grow Rich, I think it's called, by Napoleon Hill. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That's a really good book because it teaches you how to engage in a conversation with somebody without making them feel upset. I'll drop you a golden nugget here. It's like when you're having a conversation with somebody, never be negative in that conversation. Never say no. Always say yes. Answer it in a polite way, because as soon as you say no, that person will have their guard up. And I feel like it's very important to make people feel comfortable whenever you're in a conversation. And yeah, like it just comes back down to exercising. Just exercise, get in shape, get your mind right. That's what I do whenever I get stressed or whatever. I just go back to the gym. After I come out of the gym, I've got that amazing feeling. I know it's tough, but would you rather have that tough or being lost and sad or resulting in other causes to deal with your stress through like alcohol, drugs, these things? Because these things are detrimental to your health. You're just not seeing it right now, but 10, 15, 20, 30 years later, it's going to affect you quite a lot. Whereas exercise, there's actually a Harvard study which says every 3 hours you exercise, you live an hour longer. You guys can go and search that up.
Really?
There is, yeah.
You heard it here first.
Okay, yeah, you heard it here first.
That was amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much for having this conversation.
No, it's absolutely fine.
I feel like you've shared, there's a real like vulnerability to your story, and yeah, I just think it's going to be really, really vital for people to hear it and be motivated by it. So
Yeah,
thank you.
100%. I'm more than happy to.
At Catch-22, we work with young people and adults providing intervention, rehabilitation, and victim services in prison and in the community. To learn more, visit catch-22.org.uk.